How many jumps does it take to beat Paper Mario? Before we begin the run through, we're going to need to cover some rules. Rule number 1, we're going to ban all glitches. Rule number 2, cutscenes where Mario jumps on his own will not count as a jump. Rule number 3, clearly define what a jump is. According to Google, the definition of a jump is when someone pushes themselves off of a surface into the air by using the muscles in one's legs and feet. And since this is a video game where we need to press certain buttons to do certain actions, I'm also going to state that a jump is when you press the A button, as well as when Mario jumps off the ground with his legs and feet. If those two things don't happen simultaneously, then it will not count as a jump. Additionally, the game itself says press A to jump. Other things to take note of: Goombario's head bonk within battle is not a jump, it is called a head bonk, so anytime I use him it will not count as a jump. Pressing C down to use some partners does not count as a jump. Some abilities may make Mario jump upwards, but according to my definition of what a jump is, two things must be fulfilled: an A press and a thrust by Mario's legs and feet. If both of these things are not simultaneously satisfied, it is not defined as a jump. Alright, let's get right into it. In Peach's Castle, there are no situations where you need to jump, so I'm going to fast forward this. While we're waiting for all these cutscenes to end, I should explain that I'm going to show off every fight in the run. The reason being to demonstrate that they can all be done without using the jump. An example of how this can be interesting is later on in Chapter 6, there's a boss that hovers in the air, so not using the jump might get tricky. Alright, I'm sure many of you know this, but in the first fight against Bowser, 5 of these jumps are unavoidable. You may have noticed that the text is no longer in English. I'm using a Japanese version for this run-through. I'm primarily a speedrunner of this game, and we use the Japanese version for those. The next jump that you cannot avoid is jumping out of the Toad House once you recover. So now we get the hammer, we use it to kill Junior Troopa, and then the only way to escape Junior Troopa's playground is to jump 8 times up the 8 ledges. A bit later on, after you kill the Goomba Bros, you have to jump onto a spring to progress. A little while after that, you have to jump 3 times up these ledges, and then 6 more times to talk to Elfstar to get the Lucky Star. Alright, now we're at the start of Chapter 1. There are 3 ledges that you have to jump up to get to Koopa Village. Once we get Kooper, we have to jump 5 times up these ledges to get to the Koopa Bros Fortress. After we do 5 unskippable fights, we get a key without jumping, and then we jump up 6 stairs. With the key that we got, we unlock a door, hit a block with Kooper, fall it to the jail, get Bombette, kill an unskippable fight, and then we have to jump up that staircase 6 times again to escape. Once we go to the top of the castle, we have to jump 2 more times to clear 4 stairs. After hitting a switch and lowering a staircase, we have to jump 1 time to reach a bombable wall. Once we're in the jail, we have to jump again to escape. Now we have to jump up 5 times up a staircase. Once we lower the submerged staircase, we have to jump 7 times to reach the top. So I'm going to grab Smash Charge because it's going to be useful on the Koopa Bros fight, and then General Guy later. It's a little bit tricky to lure this bomb away without getting an encounter. And also you can grab the badge without jumping too. So the can room is really interesting because you can't jump over these bullet bills, and they spawn randomly. So essentially what I have to do is pull up the menu, react, sometimes go backwards. I think in this run through I got an encounter, but it's okay as long as I recover the coins. It's important to note that you don't want to route it such that you go down and hit the heart block because there's no way back up unless you waste jumps. To get to the Goober Bros fight, we have to jump 2 more times up 2 stairs. Alright, time for the first boss. So, as you probably know, all of the enemies that came before can easily be defeated with items and the hammer and the partner, so we never use the jump. So I picked up Smash Charge because it saves a little bit of time. It's going to be used a few times. I also grabbed Refund because there's a very limited amount of coins because we cannot jump to get coins from blocks. The only real difference in the Goober Bros fight is that we don't have power jump. Alright, chapter 1 is totally complete. Next up we have chapter 2. We have to jump up 3 ledges to escape Goober Bros Fortress. Then, in order to meet Parakarry, we have to jump up 6 ledges. After we meet Parakarry, we go into the room with Waka, and we have to jump 3 times to progress. In the next room, we have to jump up 4 times, use Cooper to get the ladder, and then jump up 1 more time. The room after that, we have to jump 4 times, get the ladder, jump onto the spring to escape, and then a few rooms later we have to jump 3 times up 3 ledges, and then jump 1 time onto a spring. That will get us the 3rd ladder. Then we have to jump 2 times to reach Parakarry. Once we have Parakarry, the run gets really interesting, because instead of jumping, what we can do is use Parakarry's airlift ability, and this allows us to skip a lot of stairs throughout the run. So from this point on, there's going to be a lot less jumping and a lot more airlifts. So something that I found interesting is that some ledges are lower than others, so in some situations, like right now, even with Parakarry's airlift, it seems to be impossible to make it up a ledge, and from what I can tell, if the ledge is 30 units high, you can make it with Parakarry, but if the ledge is like 35 units high, you can't. So because of that, we have to do 2 jumps due to the 35 unit high ledge, and then we go to Dry Desert. So once we're at Dry Outpost, we buy a dried shroom and dusty hammer, as well as a bunch of thunderbolts to use those to damage the bosses instead of jumping. Sadly, after we do those errands, there are 2 ledges that we cannot get up because they're 35 units high. So there are 2 more jumps to get to Mustafa. Everything in Dry Ruins is going very well, using Parakarry to avoid having to jump. except there's this one loading zone that you can't quite make it through because of the low ceiling, so we have to jump into it. After we do that one jump, there are no more jumps remaining for this chapter. Here's a little compilation of every time you have to use paracarry. So interestingly, because of the curve of the camera in this dungeon, you can step on some of these switches without jumping at all, and even without using paracarry too. It's pretty weird. Okay, and now onto the Toon Koopa fight. So what we normally do here is we do Power Jump Shell Shot. That's 4 plus 6 normally, but because we can't jump, we have to use Thunderbolts instead. So every turn is going to be the same. Thunderbolt, Shell Shot. It's a little important to note that the coins are important, because we're going to use a stone cap on Lantern Ghost later. We need 30 coins to buy the item. Now that Chapter 2 is done, we're going to get 1 seed from Chapter 2. We're going to get another seed from Toad Town. We're going to pick up Hammer Throw, which costs 0 jumps to obtain. And then finally we're going to go to Forever Forest, get the seed in there, and then enter Boo's Mansion. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of jumps in the mansion. There's going to be 3 to get to the record, 1 for the Super Boots tutorial, 3 for the big blue switch, 7 to go back upstairs after getting the Super Boots, 1 to get Boo's portrait, 7 to get back upstairs, 1 for a Super Boots panel in Tubba's Mansion, and 1 Super Boots panel to enter the windmill. As a bonus, here's the spike room without jumping or bow. And here's how you get Mega Rush without jumping. And every other obstacle that is not mentioned from this point on in the entire playthrough is an obstacle that can be cleared with paracarry. So right before this fight, I'm going to take off Smash Charge, Refund and Speedy Spin, or Hammer Throw and Mega Rush. So now that we have Hammer Throw, things are going to get a lot more interesting. Because by this point, normally we use the jump. Just in case you don't know, Mega Rush adds 4 attack power anytime Mario is at 1 HP. I got Peril before the heart fight by fighting a Clubba and intentionally taking 9 damage. Interestingly, even though the heart has 50 HP, you only need to deal 45 before it runs away. Now that Chapter 3 is done, we're going to have to get a little bit crafty with what we do in this fight against Junior Troopa because he's a flying enemy and he has 40 HP. This fight is honestly one of the hardest in the entire game because he's flying, has 40 HP, and we have limited resources at this time. The only partner that can realistically hit this Junior Troopa is Paracarry. Goombario is going to be doing at most 2 per turn, even if you have him upgraded. Cooper and Bombat cannot hit him, and Bo can only use Out of Sight. With enough careful planning, he goes down. Now we're on our way to Shy Guy's Toy Box. Unfortunately, these blue boxes are 35 units high, so we're going to have to jump anytime that there's a blue box that's necessary. So there are 3 of them in the room with the storeroom key. Okay, so something that's necessary to point out is getting on top of the train station at this awkward angle was quite an adventure. In the room with the frying pan, there are 3 more of these blue boxes that we have to jump up. On the way to Lantern Ghost, there are 2 brown boxes that we have to jump up. Time to fight Lantern Ghost. So the gimmick in this fight is you have to hit the lantern 2 times before he becomes vulnerable. In this fight, I hit him once with a hammer, and then I'm charging up with Goombario. So essentially, every turn, Goombario will be doing 4 damage as he's charging. A stone cap will last for 3 turns, so that's 12 damage every stone cap. And there's 1 brown box on the way out of Lantern Ghost. Alright, for General Guy, the badges that I have on are Smash Charge, Hammer Throw, Quake Hammer, Speedy Spin, and Mega Rush. So on turn 1, I'm going to charge Body Slam. All of those blocks matter. You can't be taking too much damage. Interestingly, after these Shy Guys take enough health, they just run away. These Stilt guys have 7 health each, so I'm gonna Starstorm. And then the Shy Stack, they have 10 health each, so I'm gonna Snowman Doll and then Power Bomb. You could also Thunder Rage there. So now onto the main meal, General Guy. I'm gonna charge and switch to Watt, and then I'm gonna Quake Hammer to get rid of his Light Bulb, so it does less damage every turn. I think the Lightning does 5 damage, and the Bomb does 4. I routed it so that I would have peril on the last turn, so I would get the bonus 4 damage. Without that, he doesn't die. Alright, now that Chapter 4 is done, we're gonna go kill Fuzzipede and ride the whale to Chapter 5. Once we get Sushi, I should point out that Mario does jump onto Sushi, but we don't press the A button for this jump, so it will not be counted. Alright, this is one of those obstacles that I feel like is possible if you do some crafty movement setup, but I have not been able to find a way. So, you have to jump onto this rune pipe, as far as I know. Once we're in this dark room, you can use Paracarry to get up 3 of the ledges, but then unfortunately we have to jump for the last one. There's a vine in the jungle that we have to jump to reach. Unfortunately, even if you use Cooper or Paracarry, neither of them allow you to grab it. Next, we have to enter the volcano. There's a zipline which we must press the A button to ride. And then a little bit later in the volcano we have to jump again to grab a zip line to go to Lava Piranha. It should be noted that both of the super blocks that are in the volcano are unobtainable unless you waste more jumps. The badges that we're going to use on Lava Piranha are Power Quake, Hammer Throw, Damage Dodge, Mega Rush, and Speedy Spin. So I'm going to start this fight off in peril, and then I'm going to use Chill Out to stay alive. So I didn't mention this earlier, but I upgraded Sushi in the jungle. Now she's super rank. I should note that you don't have to upgrade Sushi here, but it does save a little bit of time in the fight. So not a lot of people know this, but Power Quake does work on Lava Piranha and on its hands. You know, a very big difference between a jump and hammer is that ice power does not work on the hammer. If you have hammer throw, if you use power quake, none of it works. So that's a really big nerf to the hammer. Something the devs probably should not have done. And if you don't know, ice power is only really helpful on the second phase when he's actually lit on fire. Also, it's worth mentioning that Fire Shield, the badge is not available unless you waste a jump, which is a big reason I use Chill Out and Damage Dodge. Alright, now that Chapter 5 is done, it's no problem to enter Chapter 6 without jumping, and the majority of this chapter has no real obstacles that you have to jump to overcome. After the maze fight is done, we're going to have to jump up this pink pipe. This is similar to the green pipe in Chapter 5, where I feel like it is possible to maybe use paracarry to do it without jumping, but I have not found a way. So anytime you have to use this pink pipe, it counts as a jump. And that total is 4 times. Once we give Lily the water stone, we have to jump to enter the bubble. Again, I tried to use Cooper and paracarry. Neither of them allowed me to get inside without jumping. Alright, so when we go fight Lackluster, we're going to have the same badges on as before, except we're going to take off damage dodge so that we can get into peril in 3 turns. So every turn is going to be almost the same. It's going to be hammer throw shell shot, but to save FP we're going to do hammer throw skydive. And I ultra ranked paracarry in Chapter 6. All you have to do is airlift on all those stairs, and then Cooper to hit the super block. Alright, unfortunately, this room has a lot of jumps that you cannot skip. There are 6 to hit all of these switches. Luckily for us, no more jumps are required after this in Chapter 6 though. Alright, time to fight Huff. So, I'm only going to use 3 moves in this battle. It's going to be Shell Shot, Starstorm, and Hammer Throw. I'm going to speed this up because this is one of the longer fights in the run. I put damage dodge back on before the fight began. It's not going to be useful until I think later, probably. And once again I routed it so that I would have peril in the last turn to maximize the damage. Routing peril into the run is always one of my favorite things to do, because often it works out exactly. Alright, Chapter 7 time. So, we're lucky that we can get up this pipe with paracarry, but we're unlucky because we have to break this panel with the super boots. I know what you might be thinking, I have to jump up to get onto this ledge, but we're very lucky because Lackey is pretty broken. So what you can do here is you can jump on Lackey and then angle the control stick a little bit to the right, just above the notch, and then once you reach a certain position you can press C down again, and then make it on the ledge without jumping. And yeah, I don't think anytime you get on top of Lackey, it counts as a jump. I think that would be silly to say it is a jump, because you're using Lackey, you're not jumping. And also there is no A press. So the Ultra Boots room is very interesting. Get the Ultra Boots with paracarry, and then from here, yeah, you can't reach that block with Cooper, because it's pretty far to the right. But I was able to do something really crafty here. You use C down to use paracarry's ability, and then you press A, and it thrusts you upwards towards the block. And this is an A press, but I don't think it counts as a jump, because instead of Mario using his legs and feet to thrust himself up, he gets his height boost from paracarry's wings for a short time, and then Mario and paracarry's hands work together to create an equal and opposite force to thrust Mario up. So instead of a jump, I would say that this is a swinging motion. Alright, now that we have the Ultra Boots, we can actually hit only 3 of the 4 hidden blocks to get past this area. I tried to lower that amount by using paracarry and maximizing the distance, but it's impossible. During the middle of the main side quest in Chapter 7, you have to jump 3 times to break the ice. You guys remember back in Chapter 3 when there was that vertical staircase with like 7 steps? And we had to go and jump up all of them? Well, luckily, late in the game we have paracarry and lackluster. And what they can do for us is allow us to skip all of these stairs without jumping. Very nice. Okay, so I skipped over the junior trooper fight. He's a grounded enemy and we have the hammer, so it's not really any issue to kill him there. The only thing is I used chill out in that fight to get into peril, so I could use it on Monstar. Also, you could use bow on Monstar instead of blocking the attack, but you know I gotta flex on him. Also, it's a little bit faster to block it. Watch Mario turn around during this cutscene. Weird. Once we get the scarf and bucket, we can go towards the palace, and then unfortunately we have to jump 2 times. We have to break the ice and then hit the switch. There are so many stairs here, it's a really good thing that we have paracarry, because this would have tallied up way too many jumps. Alright, once we're in Crystal Palace, we have to use the Ultra Goods to hit the red switch, a Crystal Palace panel, and the blue switch. Okay, the badges that I'm using on Crystal King are Mega Smash, Damage Dodge, PFD Down, and Mega Rush. So this fight's pretty basic, you just use Electro Dash every turn. You use the hammer on some turns, you use an untimed hammer so that he doesn't heal early. And you have Mega Smash and Star Storms. Alright, now that Chapter 7 is done, we're moving on to Chapter 8. Unfortunately, it seems like it's impossible to escape this Coup Patrol area unless we jump twice. This is another case where the ledge is like 35 units high, and it's not quite low enough for paracarry to get a height boost. That's a lot of stairs right there. That's going to be a lot of jumping. But actually, with paracarry and lackey, we can skip all of them. We have to use the Ultra Boots to lower this blue switch, sadly. For time considerations, I'm not going to show off the entire cannon room, but the concept is use paracarry on the 4 stairs that you can go up, and then use bow to avoid the bullet bills that are incoming, and then use dizzy attack so that it stuns the bullet bills that are about to hit you, and then you can use paracarry to go up the ledge. Unfortunately, in this room there are 2 ledges that I can't seem to get up. Sadly, I have not been able to skip these 2 jumps in the cannon room. Even though I'm doing the exact same inputs, it doesn't seem to work. I think the reason it doesn't work is because it's too high of a ledge. So sadly, these 2 seem to be unskippable. Okay, this room is a little bit fickle, so on the first attempt what I did was I used Cooper and then I tried Pear Carry, but it didn't quite make it, so I had to think of something else. So you use Cooper, you wait for it to go back down, and then you use Bombette. And then you use Pear Carry to cross the gaps without jumping at all. Alright, all of the obstacles in the game are cleared. Now the only thing that's left are the 3 final bosses. So in Junior Troopa, I lead off with 20 damage on the first 2 turns. If you leave him with 38 health or less, he heals up. So I'm going to do 20 damage and then stun him, and then pound him when I'm in peril. Now for Hallway Bowser, I healed up with an Ultra Shroom and a Jam and Junk before the fight. Gonna lead off with a Mega Smash and an Electro Dash. If he hits me with fire 2 times, I get into peril. That's not necessary to win this fight. Alright, so right now he has 20 HP remaining. He's gonna use his Star Shield, and I'm gonna Star Beam in return. It's important to notice that I level up HP after this fight. I'm gonna have 20 for Final Bowser. Alright, time for the final fight. Can we do it without jumping? I think you guys already know the answer to that. So phase 1 is consistent. He does the same thing every time, except I guess his first move. It could be Fire Claw or Butt Stomp. But the damage will be consistent. He'll have 71 remaining at the end of phase 1. And then in phase 2 there is some variation that can happen. So we always lead off with a Peach Beam on turn 1, followed by an Electro Dash. He could just throw whatever move. We're gonna die with a Life Shroom on turn 3. So midway into this battle I did end up getting Peril, which gives me the +4 attack power. I'm going to use Repel to hide for a bit. And I actually made a mistake. What I should have done was use Mega Smash again instead of a Repel Gel. All it did was waste 1 turn, but I wanted it to be safe because it's not like it's a speedrun or anything like that. So we kill exactly with all the damage that we did in this fight. So yeah, that is the entirety of Paper Mario without any glitches, with the minimum number of jumps that is possible. The number of jumps that have to be done in the overworld is 156. The number of jumps that have to be performed in a battle is 5, and the total jumps that you have to do for everything in the entire game, no glitches, is 161. If you look off to the left, that's the total amount of jumps that were performed in every single chapter. So these are the final stats. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It took a lot of effort to work on this. I started the planning for this video in February of 2024, and I haven't completed it since what seems to be November 2024. I did take a long break from this for a while, grinding runs of the game and doing other things IRL. But yeah, I plan to make more videos like this one. I don't expect any of the other ones to be as long as this one, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit a like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. I grind this game in speedruns, and I do it at the highest level in the world, so you could catch me live streaming over on Twitch. Yep, that's about it. Alright, peace.